Hey everybody, my name is Chris. This is one in a series of videos in which we walk through the entire GA4 Google Analytics 4 construction process from tracking code placement all the way to dashboard creation. This one is being done for Maui Humane Society in exchange for my services on this project. They're granting me permission to share this and other videos with you, so it's very cool of them. This was an important one. So it's all about reports, the data visualization aspect inside of GA4. Right now in this project, we're right about here. So we have decided what behaviors we want to track. We've written those down. We have recorded those events and configured tags to feed data over to GA4. The data is now in Google Analytics 4, and now it's time to take a look and start looking through this data and determining what we have and start making some decisions and calling insights, etc. Okay, this is not the one in which we're going to build out a dashboard, but we are going to jump into reports. In my mind, there's really three scenarios in which we would want to visualize, or which we can visualize our data in Google Analytics 4. Let's talk about those three scenarios. One is I just need to find a number, right? So I've got 5 minutes, maybe or 10 minutes before a meeting. I need to jump into Google Analytics 4 real quick and go grab a number. In that scenario, I would utilize reports. Reports is perfect for that scenario. And probably only that scenario. We'll explain what more as we go through this series, but what we're going to find here in this particular one with reports is that reports are a bit shallow. There's not much you can do in them. You can get numbers, you can find a number, but you can't really do much analysis in there, okay? When you do need to conduct analysis, I would recommend we use the explore or the exploration area in GA4. Now that's going to allow you to create custom reports. Explorations are just custom reports, that's all they are. So we can build out reports that answer very specific questions for our needs, for our campaigns, and for our teams. Okay, so when we really need to jump in and conduct analysis and kind of turn this Rubik's Cube around in a number of different ways, we're probably going to want to jump into the Explore area. And finally, when we need to tell a story, we should utilize Looker Studio or some BI data visualization tool that you might rely upon. That could be a Power BI, could be like a Domo, could be a Tableau, whatever you prefer. I utilize Looker Studio quite often just because I'm familiar with it and it's free. And so we'll utilize Looker Studio in this example for Maui Humane Society in a separate subsequent video to come later in this series. Okay, so if you look at all the data we've got here as different pools of water, reports are kind of like that little kiddie play pool on the left-hand side here. When we really want to get into it, we should explore because the depths of that data are pretty deep, and we can really do good work in Explore and cull some insights and read tea leaves. And then when we want to show off, we'll probably utilize Looker Studio. Now, it's not just to show off. We can still see some really important trends and get some numbers we need and start to see where we should dig in. But when we need to dig in, when we need to dive deep, it's going to be in Explore most often. Okay. In just a minute, I'm going to walk through reports in GA4. Before I do, I wanted to give you a couple tips. There's some features in there that are a little bit unique to GA4 that are different from what we had in the previous version of analytics and universal analytics. So I wanted to discuss those. We had segments before in universal analytics. Now we have comparison. So comparison is like a lens. It's almost like a filter, but it's a lens we want to look through. So you can create a lens for people from organic search, or people from Delaware, or people from Twitter, or people who utilize tablet devices, whatever. So you can create a segment or a comparison rather, and look through that lens at all your different reports. Now, there's also filters. Filters are report specific. So if you want to create a filter for the events report, like we're on right here with this little screenshot or screen grab, you can create a filter there. These comparisons are sticky. And what I mean by that is if you move off of the events report to the pages report, or to the traffic acquisition report, or the retention report, that comparison will stick there. Well, the filters down here are report specific. So if you add a filter to events for like organic search or maybe direct traffic or whatever it is, if you move off of that event report, that filter will also go away. Just like most analytics platforms, you've got a date range. You can select month, week. You can do previous comparisons to the previous year if you've got the data, previous period or month or whatever it is. So there's some features in there. And then you're also going to find up in the upper right corner of almost every report these features here, in which you can share your data, find insights. This little pencil icon we're going to use in this video. We're going to actually edit. This pencil icon is to edit the dimensions and metrics and layout of your report, so we'll take a look at that one as well. One of the biggest complaints among many about GA4 is that the user experience is not fantastic. So one little gripe that I have about tables or reports that you're going to see in here is that there is this little search box right here. In my mind, this should be called filter because that's what it does. So if I just wanted to focus all of my attention on organic search in this table right here, I could filter and just type in organic search, hit enter, and we'd only see organic search right there. We'll show you an example of that. There are several dimensions. So for this one, we're looking at a traffic acquisition report. You can see organic search, direct, and unassigned. We'll talk more about unassigned as we go here. But you can change the dimension. This is a drop-down box. So if I didn't want to look at channel, if I wanted to look at like source or medium or source medium or campaign, chances are I can utilize that drop-down box and gather that detail. This little blue button here should be much more pronounced and evident and prominent in my opinion. And it should say not just blue plus, it should say breakdown because that's what it's utilized to do. You can break data down. So if I wanted to see what sources and mediums are in the organic search channel, I could hit plus right here and then choose source medium as my breakdown dimension and break it down. It's really the secondary dimension. Okay, so we used to have a secondary dimension in Universal Analytics. This is now kind of hidden behind this little blue plus sign, which is a bit annoying. It's a bit annoying and I hope they fix it. Okay, just to make it more evident because it's pretty important. There's some important stuff behind that. Okay, so for the purpose of this, when we walk through GA4, we're going to focus on structure and features of reports. We're actually going to rearrange some things in there a little bit. We will declare some conversions. Maui Humane Society has not done that yet, so I want to show you what that looks like. And then we're going to look at channel definitions. Channels are basically groupings of our sources, our traffic sources. So Google SEO is organic search. Also in there is Bing, organic. Also in there is DuckDuckGo. That all is in the organic search channel. We can define our channels. When GA4 was first introduced, we could not do this. So now we can actually go in and update our channels. We're going to do some of that as well. All right, so let's jump into GA4 here. So here it is. It's been about a few weeks, maybe a month, since we've published tags. So one of the first things we're going to want to do is make sure all of our data is there. Okay, so you might remember back in our documentation, and I'll put a link to this documentation in the video description, we created this gigantic schema that are all these different events that we wanted to track. Okay, and so there are a number of them. We've actually got a glossary of all those events right in here. Okay, so there's about 48 or so of those events. So the first thing I want to do is make sure all of that work we did to configure those events is actually paying off and we're capturing those data. And so if I go to the report section, we're going to move this around a little bit, but the way that I would view these reports from a structure perspective over on the left-hand side is yes, Google Analytics 4 will give you some business objectives. If you don't see these business objectives in your own GA4 instance, that's okay. We're actually going to remove them in a little bit because I don't think they're that helpful. And they're really replicated with these reports down below. We are going to keep the lifecycle reports and the user reports. Okay. Now, if we look at this in the form of a question, like Jeopardy style, acquisition reports are going to answer the question, where these folks come from? What sources do they use? What campaigns do they utilize? How do they get to the website? Engagement is going to answer the question, okay, they're here. What did they do? What events did they exhibit? What pages did they access? Where did they enter the website? Where did they land? Did they convert? And so on. Monetization is, did they spend money? Did they donate to Maui Humane Society or not? We're actually having some work done on the website still to make sure that we can track that. So we're actually not measuring, you can see total revenue, we're not measuring donations at the moment. So we might remove that report for the time being. Retention, have they been here before? Are they new? Are they returning? There's some user attributes that will tell us information about where people are coming from geographically. And then tech is all about what devices they use, device models, categories, etc. So again, back here, if we want to make sure that all of the work we did to design custom events that are unique and specific to Maui Humane Society actually are tracking, let's go to the events report under engagement. And straight away, we can see that we've got about 60 events. Now I said that there were 48 or so. Well, you might remember that Google has about 9 or 10 or so other events, 48, other events that are just native to the platform. So like we didn't have to design page view. We didn't have to configure user engagement or session start, but we did adopt pet detail. So that's all happening, okay? And so earlier we noted that there are some features and some functionality within this platform that don't make a lot of sense. For example, this search should really say filter. So I'm just going to search for all of the home page events. And all of those, because we use this a specific naming convention, start with the word home. Okay, and so we can see that we've got this home slider CTA. Super. So most of my home, it looks like all of my home events are happening. So we're measuring different actions or behaviors on the home page. So this home slider CTA, or call to action, is actually when somebody's on the website and they select one of these guys here. So one of the sliders on the site, okay? So again, I can filter even more and really focus in on that. Okay, and I'm gonna hit enter there. Now I'm just looking at that one event. Now remember, we've got this blue plus sign here. If I wanna break this down, and you'll note that we've got all these different home slider events here. There's a few of them now, and there's been more over time. They swap them out all the time, just like you might for your own home slider if you've got one. We're tracking what people are selecting with a parameter that we labeled object. Okay, so it's in the documentation. And so if we look at home slider CTA object right here, if I create a secondary dimension or utilize the breakdown button right here, and oh goodness, like there's all kinds of dimensions I could utilize here. Let's see if we can find object. You know, I got a better idea. Let's just search for it. Anytime I really need to look for something, I just search for it. Okay, there's object. And so this will actually break down what we've actually seen in terms of from March 1st through the 31st, what people are clicking on, right? So it looks like the fire response efforts are the most popular slider, and we can break this down and break other things down too. Let's take a look at another one too, just to make sure all of our adopt events are coming through. Now the adopt events are going to measure for us all of the interaction within the adopt section of the website. So for example, are people clicking on individual pet details? Are they filtering are they utilizing the filter to look at the pets available for adoption? Are they clicking the rehome button? Are they clicking on links to look more at that pet? Email somebody about the pet that they want to take home and love, print off some details about pets, etc., etc. So if I just want to see adopt pet detail, and again, what this is doing is it's tracking every time someone clicks on an individual pet that's available for adoption. And so if I go down here, and that's going to load for us for a second, but every time someone clicks on a pet available for adoption, like Princess, for example, when I select Princess, that event, I'm looking at Princess's detail page, that adopt pet detail fired, right? That's the event we're tracking there. So if I really want to focus on that one for a second, let's filter down there. And I'm going to use my breakdown to see, okay, which most popular? Is it dogs, cats? Well, we captured a number of different items here. So you can see, I'm going to zoom in so you can see that better. Adopt pet detail. Again, this is why we write all this down, by the way, so we can capture all this information. So for adopt pet detail, we're capturing species and pet ID. So let's actually sort by species. And so I'm going to use my breakdown button, and it's in custom. I can go find it. I think it's, oh, there she is right there. So if I want to see what the most popular species is, well, there you go. Dogs by a factor of about 4 to 1 over cats, then rabbits, and small and furry. I'm not sure what that species is, but you get the idea. Birds, reptiles, etc. Okay, so that's all working. I feel good about the fact that our events are coming through. Let's also look at some of these filters. So before, if we looked at acquisition reports. Again, this is going to answer the question, these reports are going to answer the question, where these folks come from. Okay. So if I go into user acquisition, this is looking at individual users and how they arrived for the very first time on the website. You can see that we've got organic search, direct, organic social, organic video. These are kind of some new channels that we didn't have in the previous version. If I just wanted to take a look at organic search, I could create a filter right here that is specific to that particular channel, or I could create a comparison. Okay. Now, if I create a comparison and select a dimension over here, like channel, for example, and say that exactly matches organic search. I'm going a little fast here, but you can kind of pick and choose what you want. Hit apply. Then I've got all users with the blue line, and the orange line is just those people from organic search, okay? And so you can see that if I remove all users, it's pretty much just organic search. If I look at the traffic, now I've got a segment applied here, and you might remember that this is sticky, so it'll stick with me as I move from page to page. Now, there's just organic search, okay? Now, if I go over to events or pages or any of these, and if I just use the organic search filter or segment I created earlier, now I'm just seeing pages that were accessed by those folks who accessed the website via Google search, or I'm sorry, organic search. Could be Google SEO, could be Bing SEO, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go, okay? Let's go back to traffic acquisition. I'm just gonna remove this because I don't need it anymore. Let's just kill that. And I can also filter here, and this is gonna be a filter specific to this report, okay? So the difference here is that this comparison is sticky. It'll stick with me as I move from report to report. This filter right here is only gonna be specific to, let's go channel, what do we wanna do this time? Let's do organic social this time. I'll select that one, hit apply, and now I should only see, because I've got that filter applied right there, I should only see organic social. It looks like we had a big campaign right here at the end of March, the Sunday and Monday, so we'll have to see what that was all about. And if I ever want to see like, wow, like that's huge, let's see what happened, let's dig in. So that happened on when? The 24th and 25th. I'm just going to select those dates, hit apply, and then I might want to see, okay, where'd people go? So if I can add landing page, breakdown button, and I can see they went to this particular page right here. I don't know what that is. It looks like they came from Facebook, and so I can always kind of look and see what that's all about, okay? So that's just a couple of different examples of what we want to do there. One other thing too is that we talked earlier about all these different events. We utilize Google Tag Manager and and you can see from 3 separate videos. There's a beginner, intermediate, and advanced video that showed how we created this. We can also actually create events in this platform as long as the parameters are native to the platform. What I mean by that is if we want to create an event in platform for something like adopt detail, Google doesn't know what Princess's name is, or that Princess is a dog, or that she's female, or this is her ID number, et cetera, right? So we would have to utilize Tag Manager to create an event for that particular behavior. But if we have parameters that are native to the platform, we could go to the admin section, go to events, and by the way, here's all of our events, and we can create a new event. Why would we want to do this? Well, sometimes it can be easy. Sometimes you might see that something is coming through with a name you don't like. You might want to change it up. A common one that we'll create often for folks is, let's say I'm back on the website and I go to a 404 error page, okay? And this is going to take a second to load, but when I go to a 404 error page, it's probably going to spit out some page that says, hey, sorry, we can't find this page you're looking for. When this happens, I want to know. I want to know how many times people are accessing 404 error pages, just in case there's a problem. Like if there's a broken link, or maybe I've got a funky ad out there that's not producing the right traffic or sending people to the right page. So if I want to, you'll notice right up here, the page title starts with page not found, okay? So I'm gonna create a new event and call it page 404. Now page 404 is really when there's a page view, the event name equals page view, and page title, as we saw, starts with page not found, okay? So let's go, starts with, it is case sensitive, okay? And that's it, that's fine. I can copy parameters. I definitely want to know like what page people were accessing, what the source of that traffic was. So I definitely want to copy over other parameters, what device they were using, source, medium, all that good stuff. Hit create. And now from this point forward, I will have a page 404, okay? One of the other things that we noticed here, and this, I'm recording this in April of 24. right around this time, Google is actually changing some things to change the word conversion to key events. Okay, key events, conversions, same, no difference whatsoever. The biggest thing I want to do here is make sure that I am declaring certain behaviors as conversions. Let's look at our conversions. You'll notice that we have purchases, and we don't have any yet because we're working on the donation piece. And every single GA4 account that exists will have purchase as a conversion, whether or not you purchase, or whether or not you track purchases or not. Okay, so let's go back to events. Here's how we can declare other conversions, and it's much easier than it was at one time. So for example, I know that when someone, let's look at all of our different events here. When someone, there's a good one, someone fills out the volunteer form, that's a big deal because we're going to have a new volunteer. That's a conversion in our world. Okay, there we go. Now, I know that another big one is when someone completes a foster orientation. So that means they completed the orientation, or they're about to complete the orientation materials to become a foster parent for a cat, dog, small and furry, lizard, whatever, right? So that's another big one. When we do actually have donation items here, like donation complete, hey, we do have donations, look at that. That's a big one, so we're gonna call that a conversion too. Okay, so not everything is a conversion, just those items that are most indicative of success. I'm gonna say that again because I think it's important. Not everything is a conversion, not everything is a key event, just those items that are most indicative of success. In the very first video that we shared with you all, we talked about the goals of Maui Humane Society. These 3 events are key to the objectives of the Maui Humane Society. Thus, they are conversions. Thus, they are key events. So we're going to track those. Okay. So that's it all. That's all it takes. So now, from this point forward, those are going to be tracked as key events, which is lovely and what we want. Okay. So we've got conversions. Let's also, since we're here, talk about how we're going to put these reports together. Now you'll notice that I kind of talked about the fact that I don't really want these. Yeah, we want to generate leads. Sure, we want to drive sales, but you know what? I've got all this reporting already here. And like, for example, generate leads landing page. Well, I've already got that here. I don't need this stuff. And so if you find that you just want to show reports that are specific and unique to your organization and be very minimalist in your approach and kind of block out all the noise that's not helpful, you're going to want to do this. Okay, so I'm going to go to the library, and if I don't want to track business objectives, you're going to see this is a card right here. They're a collection. Okay, and so business objectives, and then we've got generate leads, drive online sales, raise brand awareness, examine user behavior. Well, yeah, there they are right there. What if I just do that, unpublish? Okay, so again, 3 dots, I unpublished. I want to keep life cycle. I want all those, but you know what? I don't think I need monetization right now. We still need to work on our e-commerce tracking, so I'm going to remove this for the time being. If I just want to remove one of these little folders in here, I can go to Edit Collection, and then you can see acquisition, engagement, there's monetization, bye, it's gone, right? So I can clean this up. Now, if I ever want to bring it back, it's over here. I can bring it back. There's no problem. There's e-commerce purchases right there. I can bring it back. But just to kind of clean things up and keep our space nice and tidy, let's save that. Okay. And then if I go back, and you're going to notice that it looks much cleaner in here. Now, one thing I definitely want to do is I want to bring in some reports from Google Search Console. So Maui Humane Society is connected to their Google Search Console account. Search Console is a separate free tool from Google that gives you, really it's a good way to see your website from Google's eyes, from Google's vantage point. For example, what kind of clicks do we get from Google? What are our total impressions? How are we ranking? So if I want to see like average position, so for example down here I can see that Maui Animal Shelter, we're number 2, like ranking wise for that when people search for that. Wings of Aloha, which is a very specific program or campaign for Maui Humane Society, that's earned 140 clicks from 196 impressions or times we showed up, and we're ranked number 1. Good for us. Let's get this data in analytics. So we're going to go over to admin, And then on the left-hand side, we're going to choose product links. And I'm going to choose Search Console links. And then we're going to link this account with analytics. So I'll hit link. We're going to choose our property. Let's go find it real quick. There she is right there. And confirm. We're going to hook it up to our web stream. Select our web stream. I'm going a little fast, so if you need to slow down, feel free, pause the video, go back. But that's about it. Now our link is created. So pretty soon we should have a new report in here that says, let's refresh. Hopefully when we sync this up, we'll have a new report that has Search Console in there. There she is right there. So because we just synced up Search Console to analytics, now we've got this new Search Console report, and it's really just going to mirror a lot of the data that we've got here over in Search Console. So that'll be nice. Okay. Now we just took away monetization. We don't have revenue just yet. We're still working on that. We will have it eventually. But if we look at some of this traffic acquisition, this is a big report for us. It tells us again where people are coming from. And if we look at the different channels, we've got channel group. We've got source medium. So again, this drop down, you can change the dimension. If you can drop down, do so. You can see what the biggest source medium combination is. So direct, Google SEO, we've got some social media going on here, and so on. Now, if this is a dimension, we'll talk about dimensions and metrics in a subsequent video. But then we also have users, sessions, users like a visitor. If you're ever curious about what a metric is, just hover over and it'll give you the definition. So it's visitors, sessions is visits, so how many times people showed up. Users is how many people showed up. Engaged sessions. Now some of these metrics, I don't know that I care about that much. Like engagement rate, I know what it means because I'm highlighting this, but does it mean anything? Is it useful for me? Does it answer really pressing questions for me? Not really, and I'm not tracking revenue. So here's what we're going to do. See this pencil icon? We're going to change this report up, okay? And we're going to hit the pencil icon. Now all of the dimensions you see over here, channel group, source medium, medium source, source platform campaign, they're also right here. So if I clean this up a little bit, let's move source above medium, let's move campaign up. I don't care about source platform, that's going to go away. I don't need two channel definitions. Let's remove one of those. Again, just tidying up our room a little bit. Now when we look at this, better, streamlined. Okay, so everything I just changed is a reflection, is reflected here. Let's go to our metrics. Our metrics are all of these. So again, dimensions are things that we measure, elements that we measure. They're like nouns. And metrics are units of measurement. They're like verbs, okay? And so that'll come into play later on. So if I don't really want, I definitely want average engagement time. Engaged sessions per user, I don't know that I care. Engagement rate, let's clean that out a little bit. Total revenue, I'm not tracking yet, so I want to kill that. But let's do this. Let's bring in bounce rate. So if I search for bounce rate, there it is, and I can move it around. And let's get pages per visit. Well, the name for pages per visit is kind of weird. It's called views per session. And the only reason I know that is I've done this a few times, but you can bring any of these metrics in. So get familiar with the metrics, move around, hit apply. And now I've got bounce rate in there. At one time, Google Analytics 4 did not have bounce rate. It's back. Here she is. Okay. And so if I want to keep the way that I've done this here, I'm going to have to save this report. I'm going to hit save. Save changes to current report. Great. We did it. And in the same token, we can go back. And if there's another really important page, or I'm sorry, report that we want to look at, like page or pages in screens, in which we want to do some of the same things. So maybe we want to bring bounce rate in here, remove total revenue. Again, I don't have any conversions yet because I just turned them on, so it's not really retroactive that way. But if I can go here, yes, I've got all those items here. That's good. Let's bring in bounce. I should probably spell that right. Get rid of total revenue. How you doing? There we go. I like the way that looks, and I'm going to hit save. Save changes to current report. and I'm just making some changes. I'm kind of cleaning my room, I'm reorganizing my furniture, I'm making my space more of a reflection of how I want to see my data. Now you'll notice something that just drives me a little crazy is it's got this long title here, pages and screens, page path and screen class. That's gross. Let's clean that up too. I'm gonna go to my library. And here you can see that report. This character just now edited it. And if I go here, I'm going to rename, how about just pages? How about it? Let's save it. And back here, it did this weird thing for the traffic acquisition report I did too. Let's just call this rename. We don't need all of that. Let's just call it traffic acquisition. Keep it nice and simple. Take a minimalist approach with all of this in GA4. It'll make your life easy. Trust me. Okay, so now when I look at this, there you go. Better, okay? The last thing I wanted to show you here is let's go back to our traffic acquisition report. And this question comes up a lot in reports. What's that? This unassigned. Unassigned is basically a channel where when Google sees a source medium combination it does not recognize, that doesn't fit in one of these other channel buckets, it just says, yeah, I'm just going to throw it in unassigned. So let's actually see what's in there. I'm going to go to user acquisition for this. Same. But if I go unassigned, so let's isolate that with our filter here. Unassigned. Spell it right. There she is. I'm going to break it down by source medium. So we always typically use session source medium or even first user source medium if I'm in the user. All right, so here we go. We've got some not sets in there. We got a QR code. Sweet. I know for a fact that this is a display campaign, okay? And it should go in the display channel, but it's not right now. Why? Because Google is looking for the display medium. We might have done this over here. So there is a UTM builder in this document. And a UTM builder is basically a way that you can build out your tracking code appended URLs. So if you put a URL in here, like let's go to the adopt page, and if we want to promote this page with something like some sample network display campaign. All right, we've got a source, a medium, a campaign, a landing page, a destination URL, sample display campaign. We can give it a little label. Okay. Now we've got, under the use this column, we've got a fully tracking code appended URL. Now check this out. If I highlight this cell, look at that goodness up there. There's a concatenation formula that's going to bring all that together for you. So you can copy and paste this if you want to use your own UTM builder. Okay. Now you might have seen this and you're just like, yeah, Chris, that's great, but we already have this Google URL builder. Sweet, I love it. If this is good for you, continue to use the URL builder. Go crazy. Do what you want to do. However, the problem with this is that you can only do one at a time. With this tool that I've provided for you here in this sheet, you could do several at a time. Just go down the list. The formula you can just keep on copying down, and that you also have a historical record of all the stuff you did. So if you're ever thinking like, wait, what was that sample display campaign? Oh yeah, I remember. And you could have notes over here, whatever you want. So regardless, we see this medium under medium is media. I know it's display. And you know what? I'm gonna guess this is a QR code. So let's change this. Let's clean this up a little bit. We're not gonna clean it all up right now, but we're gonna show you how to do this to get less out of unassigned so that things go in their proper place, okay? A place for everything and everything in its place. That's what Grandma used to say, right? So if we go to data display and go channel groups, we have this default channel group. Wonderful. I can't even edit this if I want to, right? So these are all of Google's definitions for what a channel is. If I want to create my own, I'm going to hit new channel group. And look, it just copies everything over, okay? So I'm going to call this Maui Humane Society. Spelling is a challenge for me. Channel. There we go. Now, I said that that one channel with, or that source with the medium equals media was display, right? So let's go in here. And yes, I want the default definition, which according to our documentation, anything with display or banner in the medium value is automatically going to go in display. That's Google's built-in definition, okay? Or if the medium equals, matches exactly medium or media, that's not confusing at all, then it's going to fall in display, okay? So save channel. And you know what? I think I remember that we had a QR code in there, right? So I think if I go, I don't see any QR code. You could add whatever channel you want. You could do radio, like here's audio, SMS, but you could do a print one if you've got UTMs attached to your print campaigns or your radio campaigns or whatever. This one's going to be called QR code, okay? And the definition here is source exactly matches QR code. Your definition might be a little bit different, so don't copy this verbatim, but I remember from looking just a moment ago that the source was QR_code. So I'm going to hit apply, save channel, and now I've got QR code. I can kind of move it around a little bit. Let's reorder this thing, move it up a little bit, maybe right around here. That's probably fine under organic search, and we're going to hit apply. Okay, now we've got our new channel group. Let's save this thing. And now when we go back to reports, right here, and go to acquisition and traffic acquisition, here's our default channel group. Now, still seeing a lot in unassigned, but if I go, oh, hey, look at this guy. And look at that guy. And look at this one. Hey, we're doing things. Okay, so now if I can change the definition anytime I want. Now I've still got some work to do to take all this unassigned traffic out and put it in its right spot. I'm not going to do that in this video. I just wanted to give you a couple of different examples of how to do that. But if I really want this one to be my primary channel every time I access this, I can go here. And then I'm going to go dimensions. Let's move this to the top. Google, you're very nice to create our default channel group, but we don't need you anymore. Goodbye. And now we're going to save this. It's saved. Go back. And now as a default view, we should have our Maui Humane Society channel. Okay, so there's a few tips to kind of organize your stuff in GA4. Is this convoluted in this platform? It sure is, but hopefully those tips are helpful to you. One other thing I wanted to note here is that when you're on a specific report, depending upon your level of access, if there are certain things you want, you need, or that people on your team to whom you report perhaps need, you can always share items, share a link, download a file, bring it to the next meeting with you, or you can even schedule email. So if you want to schedule a particular report to go to you or somebody on your team, like your boss or your client, like Monday at 10 a.m., you can do that. Okay, you can do that kind of thing. So a couple little tips and tricks and features and things like that. So that's it. That's GA4 reports. In subsequent videos, we're going to talk through the exploration area, which is all kinds of fun. And we're also going to do some sample Looker Studio reports. So check out the following videos in this playlist to check those out. If this video was helpful to you, you would be doing me a big favor by considering donating to MauiHumaneSociety.org. They're great people. It's a great cause, and we would appreciate it. Thank you very much for your attention.